Hey everybody, welcome to the real United States. And welcome to Rogers City, Michigan. This is in the northeastern corner of the Lower Peninsula, and we are right on the banks of Lake Huron, which I'll show you in a moment. Um, if you've known me or if you've watched the channel a lot, you'll notice that I avoid using absolutes. Always, never, forever. I also avoid using superlatives. Greatest, worst, bestest, whatever. But I do enjoy it when I find something that fills the bill of the newest, oldest, longest, tallest, biggest, whatever. Because they're unique. There's only one of them. If you're going to use a superlative, well, there can only be one. And ladies and gentlemen, we have found one. What you see behind me is the world's largest limestone quarry. That's right, Rogers City, claim to fame is they are home to the largest limestone quarry in the world. So you might be asking yourself, limestone, you mean the stuff I put in my driveway or my garden, little crushed rocks? Well, yeah, it is that. But limestone, of course, plays a huge role in our society, our civilization. It's integral to the manufacture of steel. Yeah, it's kind of tough to make steel without lime. It's also integral to the manufacture of sugar. I worked at a sugar refinery when I was a very, very young man. And limestone, which came from here when I worked in the industry, is put in a big furnace 6 stories tall, along with a coal derivative called coke, and burned to make the limestone crumble into slack lime, into lime powder. That lime powder is added to the sugar juice, and carbon dioxide, which is another byproduct of burning the coke, is bubbled through, and it makes the impurities stick to the lime particles, which then can be filtered out of the sugar juice so you get pure sugar without any crap in it. Well, they use a lot of it. I mean, like mountains of lime are used in this process. Lime is also integral in what else? Oh yeah, the manufacture of cement, the binding agent structural big deal in concrete, which I don't know, 3/4 of our society is built on, and buildings and roads and bridges, and my goodness, folks, I can't even imagine a world without concrete, which has been around, well, since the days of the Roman Empire. The limestone is lime is a huge constituent in the manufacture of cement. Oh, by the way, it's also a huge component in gypsum wallboard, drywall. So what you see on the inside of both commercial buildings and homes, lime. A lot of it's made of lime. And prior to that, in the old days, it was wet plaster, which had lime in it. Mortar, at least for rocks, and some for bricks, contains lime. So it is vastly important to our society. Well, that, at least a lot of it, comes from here, from Rogers City, Michigan. Now, if you're familiar with how Michiganians do this, here's your handy-dandy state of Michigan, because it resembles a mitten with the thumb okay, so this is Saginaw Bay, this is Lake Huron out here, and we're up around here. So if you look on a map or Google it, you're going to find we're in the northeastern corner of the state. Beautiful town, not a terribly big town for having this huge facility. It's not a real big town. I don't remember off the top of my head how many people, but I drove around it, and judging by it, I don't think it can be more than 5,000 souls that live in this town, so, or thereabouts. Anyway, this is the quarry where they dig it out, they crush it, they separate it into different grades for different purposes. Now, they've got a display over here. We're going to show you. I haven't looked at it yet, but it's got a fence with the different grades of sizes and some explanation about those. So we're going to take you over there. But in the interim, Bev, why don't you just keep spinning around here, and we're going to show you, we're actually on an observation tower, that we're overlooking a harbor here in Rogers City that goes out to Lake Huron, because much of the limestone, at least historically, has been shipped out by lake freighter in these big, huge ships that travel the Great Lakes. A lot of the limestone is shipped out that way. Now, mind you, a lot of it is also shipped out by rail car, and I don't know how much is shipped by ship anymore, but what a beautiful day and a beautiful setting. Nice little breeze. And I grew up near the shores of Lake Huron, so this beautiful, huge, literally sea of fresh water, well, it speaks to my heart, of course, you know. It's one of the largest freshwater bodies in the world. I think it's, well, Lake Baikal, Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron. I think it's the fourth largest freshwater body in the world. Just beautiful. The only thing that creeps me out, as a side note about this just a little bit, is this fence and the limestone driveway. Reminds me somehow of the scene in the movie Chinatown where the goons stick a stiletto up Jake's nose, but I digress. I'm just saying, it reminds me of that setting. They must have filmed it in a similar place. So anyway, we're gonna get some more shots to show you a couple of things here. Hang tight. So the company that owns all, operates all this, has been nice enough to actually construct this observation tower so that the public can come down here and they can get up and they can see the bay and they can see the facility here. So this is all open to the public from dawn to dusk every day. And you'll notice that this particular area, which is at the very end, when you drive in, you drive past the facility and out here all the way to the end out here by the bay. This particular parking visitor area is in fact fenced in. They don't want you wandering off and getting involved in the machinery and stuff, or in the falling off in the harbor. But most of the rest of it, as you drive out here, is just a roadway that's been graded with a big grader to drive out here. So it's a dirt, you can call it that. I mean, it's more like pulverized limestone out here. But this particular area is fenced. And they even have provided, if we can swing around now, Bev, just a little bit, a picnic table on the outside chance that you want to come out here on a beautiful 70-degree sunny day like this, and maybe have a soda pop and a sandwich, and enjoy the ambiance of the area. So, I mean, it was nice of them. They didn't have to do this. It was nice that they provided something that was, well graded, easy, nice parking, plenty of parking, for people to come out and be able to see. And it was nice that they put this steel structure so they could, because these fences are plenty tall, as you can see. I'm 6 foot tall. Well, these fences are like 8 foot tall fences. They made this so you could see over the fence. I thought that was pretty nice. Well, let's go over and take a look here at the display they have. Well, we have a historic marker sign here, and if I understand what it's telling me, and I'm not positive I do, it sounds as though the fleet of ships that they used to maintain, that they don't ship limestone out of here by ship anymore. So this harbor, this bay, is just vestiges of days gone by. It seems like that probably sometime in the late 50s or 60s that they stopped shipping Well, it says in '67, U.S. Steel combined the ships of the Bradley fleet, that's this fleet here, with those of Pittsburgh fleet to form USS Great Lakes Fleet. Today, the remaining ships of the Great Lakes Fleet, including the John G. Munson, are owned by the Canadian National Railway and operated at Key Lakes Incorporated of Duluth, Minnesota. It doesn't really say, but I don't see, I don't know if they're shipping anything out of here by ship right now or not. If they are, it's not near what it was in days gone by. This photograph is showing 6 of the ships. They're self-unloading ships laid up for the winter, because obviously in the winter you can't ship via the lakes because they freeze over, folks. Trust me, they do. Pretty much December, January, February, March, yeah, the shipping's over. You don't see any shipping pretty much after Thanksgiving, Christmas maybe, until sometime around the beginning of April. Now in this display they've got on the other side of the fence, they've got these large concrete dividers so they can show you these samples in between. And then here on the fence on this side, they tell you a little bit about them. So this is a 3/8 by 100 M, and I'm not sure exactly what that M stands for. Normally I would think that's 100 meters, but obviously not. But this is a 3/8, and this is used in steel making, in fluxing dense grade, for fluxing, yeah, in steel making, and block making, and for winter road for traction. Now, as we move on down, the next one here, in between the next set of blocks, these are just put here for displays. They were nice enough to bring these out. This is 1/2 by 1/8, all right? And this is used for poultry feed, concrete, FGT, I'm not sure what that is. And dense grade, which is, you know, grade for driveways, roads, subbeds. And we keep moving down, it keeps getting progressively larger. 1/2 by 1/4. Used in poultry feed, concrete, FGT, and dense grade. So it's a little bit bigger. When you're making grade, they're going to pack differently depending on the size. This is 1 inch by 3/8, used for making concrete, FGT again, sewer stone, and dense grade. Sewer stone. Now, when you're laying down tiles in a septic field, those of you who live in the city don't know nothing about this, but if you live in a rural area outside of a main sewer system, what you have is a septic tank and a septic field, a tile field. And you would use stone in the bottom of the trenches. This is all done, you dig trenches and you put stone in the bottom, put your tiles on top of their tiles. They're drain tiles, they're round, they're cement. You cover those and then you bury the whole thing, so then the water comes up and seeps out of the tank. It runs down these, runs into the stone, and it doesn't bind up inside of this. It'll seep back into the earth to be refiltered. I know, ew, but that's the way it works, folks. 1.5 by 3/4, used in rotary kilns for making lime, which I was talking to you earlier about. You roast the lime and then you break it down into slack lime or lime powder, grindstone, and coarse, dense grade. Again, a lot of these are road building materials. Now, if you're wondering about the poultry feed, yes, a certain amount of finely ground limestone is fed to poultry. 2 inch by 3/4 inch, and this one I can actually read because it's got a different thing. It's a newer sign. Used in rotary kilns for making lime, grindstone, and coarse dense grade. So it's the same thing. 2.5 by 3/4, used for making iron ore, okay, pellets, and lime in rotary kilns and bonding, bedding stone. Bedding, when they're putting in a road bed, you put that on the bottom first as a support for the finer stones up on top. And lastly, but not leastly, 5.5 by 3, used for sugar making process, bedding stone, and vertical kiln. Now, in sugar processing, by the way, you do use a vertical kiln. That's what I was saying. It's a 6-story tall furnace that you dump the limestone and coke in and burn to make the slack lime, and that's how it ends up in sugar processing. And I have handled more tons of that than you can possibly imagine. That's what I did for a living when I was, again, in my late teens. So anyway, that is how they grade limestone crush. And what I was talking about in a previous episode is they also, the Corps of Engineers buys these huge blocks that are, I don't know, 6-foot cubes or 10-foot cubes. And they'll take a big claw and they'll put those on a barge. They'll haul them up and down along here, at least they did back in the 70s. And they'll dump those in to make a break wall, a port of refuge, safe harbor. And they build this big arm of these huge blocks of limestone out into Lake Huron here, well, and the other lakes as well, to make a marina. Like I say, it's a little port of safe harbor. So, but those, they don't have a display of those here. But they are these gargantuous blocks of limestone, and they would come from here as well, and they would be purchased by either the state or the Corps of Engineers, whoever was funding that sort of a safe harbor operation. Well, actually, they do show you one here. Now this is a smaller one. It's got some kind of cool sign. It's been there probably for 50 years that I can't read, but yeah, big chunks like this are often used in, rough construction. They pile them up, and then they will leave kind of a gap in the middle, and they'll pour concrete in those. The concrete runs down between them, and they level off the concrete on top to make a walkway, and the rest of it's just held together by this concrete soaked in between these huge limestones. So anyway, folks, that's it here in Rogers City at the world's largest limestone quarry. And one of the interesting things we're going to get to in a future episode is the world's largest cement factory. It's just downstream here, downriver, down lake, I guess it is, in Alpena. We're going to do an episode down there, hopefully. And I'm sure that a lot of the limestone from here is sent down there for manufacturing the cement. So I'd like to thank you for joining us here on the Real United States in Rogers City, Michigan, at the world's largest limestone quarry here on the banks of beautiful Lake Huron. I hope you've enjoyed this visit. I hope that you find it interesting. If you've got questions or comments, leave in the comments section below. I try to get back to everybody I can. I love hearing from everyone. I truly do. If you're new here, hey, click subscribe and come along for the adventure, because I got a lot more to show you. And as always, well, thank you for watching.